Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Charvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Charvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting live from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard all across the World Wide Web. Hey, dolls, hey, gents, we're super excited to have you joining us and tuning in. This segment is brought to you by my upcoming workshop, Propel Your Live Streaming. You can register and find out more at joincharvette.com. That's joincharvette.com. So listen, this is a show that you definitely want to share and get out to your audience. So I know you're following me, right? Yes. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Charvette. Instagram, it's CharvetteM. With Twitter, it's Charvette. And, of course, Charvette.com will get you everything that you need anywhere you need it related to our shows. And so today's guest is hanging out with me in the virtual green room. I'm going to be bringing her up to the mic momentarily. We have Gina Gold joining us. She is the author of a new book, Ormus, Emergence. Yes. This is one of our author spotlights. Gina is an Afro-Jewish, eco-feminist, and animal activist who has dedicated her life to empowering and protecting living beings and the environment. And this brand spanking new author of this brand spanking new book, Ormus, Emergence. You're going to get to hear all about the main character and this book, Arianna. Listen. This story follows Arianna. This story follows her as she obtains superpowers due to a special substance that naturally flows through her body. Faced with perils at every corner that forces her to question her own existence, this superhero, female hero, is confronted with one burning question: how do I use my new ability to fix everything? Without further ado, coming up to the mic right now, Gina Gold. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm super excited to have you on the show and to just jump right on in. Now, I know a lot of people are like, okay, what does it mean to be an eco-feminist? What do you do as an animal activist? So I'd love to just have you share a little bit of that side of your life with us.
Sure. Thank you. So ecofeminism is basically the idea that the way that patriarchy treats nature and the way that it treats women are kind of the same. I don't know if that makes sense, but just in terms of treating them, even just as commodities to be objectified, or just, not seeing them as living beings, or not seeing the planet as a living being. So in my book, I tried to really show how women and animals are treated, in a very similar fashion. And so I felt compelled to write a book that was sticking up for all living beings.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And you know what, as you were talking, that I don't know if you have Hulu or if you've seen or heard about the Handmaidens Tale on Hulu. Have you heard about that series?
I have. Yes, I haven't seen it, but when I talk about my book, people ask me if I've seen The Handmaid's Tale and Stranger Things. And I'm like, okay, so is my book like The Handmaid's Tale and Stranger Things?
Well, I think it sounds to be, and I'm a huge, and they're not a sponsor of the show, I'm a huge fan of Handmaid's Tale, but it sounds more like your life work alignment. So it might be something you might want to check out. It might make you mad, might want to make you throw some punches, but it's something maybe to stick a note in it and to check out. Okay, wonderful. And so did you always know that you would end up writing?
Yes. My dad was really good at writing, and I originally wanted to be an actress and a movie star when I was a kid, but looking back, I'm wondering if that's what I really wanted, because although I can act, but my real skill is writing, and I think that I think part of the movie star thing might have come from my mom. My parents, without thinking, it was like the 70s, and I think they thought, oh, hey, it'd be really cool to stick her in this Little Miss America pageant because, now Black people can enter too, not realizing like, okay, maybe they can enter, but should they?
Right.
They stuck me in there. It's like, we don't need to be on the front lines of everything. So here I was with all these little white girls and basically got ignored, got whisked away from my parents and then just kind of was ignored. And I just remember standing on the stage and, just the feeling of losing that pageant and knowing why I was being ignored. And it just affected me so much that I was like, I'm going to be a big movie star and make a comeback. I was 5. And I kind of never readjusted that. Like, whether I really want that? I don't know.
Wow. And they say everything you need to know by 5 years old. I think somebody wrote a book about that. But they say that you know everything you need to know by 5. So perhaps you were onto something. And so what was the catalyst for this particular book?
Well, I think I think the Little Miss America pageant plays into that in that I was like seeing how women are just like, being judged for their looks and just how they're sort of conditioned to be objectified. Even, just growing up, there was like so much, pornography in my house, just ridiculous amounts, and we were kids and no one said, hey, no one was like, hey, this really shouldn't be out, there's kids, like, it was just, and when I say a lot, I mean like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of magazines.
Wow.
And so I think that took a toll on me, in ways that I don't even know to this day. And I also, and later when I was in my 20s, I worked as a stripper in a club called the Leslie Lady in San Francisco. So all of that to say, and another thing I want to say, and then to bring it all home, is that when I was a kid, I grew up in Queens, New York, and I lived in an apartment building, and underneath me, I lived on the 6th floor. Underneath me were 3 sex workers, 3 prostitutes, and a pimp, and they lived underneath me. And he was always screaming and beating them up. And it would be so loud and so disturbing. And I remember thinking, if I was a superhero, I could stop this. I could make this go away because nobody's doing anything. So I think that's definitely one of the ideas behind why I wrote the book, because I think it's coming from a kid of just like, I always thought if I was a superhero, I could stop this from happening. I could stop people from bullying me. I could stop getting beat up every day. I could stop these women from getting hurt. I could teach them to empower themselves. So that's what I think where my character Arianna is like, she's not, someone was saying, oh, is she like you? And I'm like, some ways she is. And some ways she's somebody that I wish I was,
Wow. Okay, so first we have to pause. Like, thank you for sharing, being transparent and sharing those things. I know that some people might say, well, that was a part of my life. I'm not going to mention that or bring it up. But I could see how absolutely that would play into being great at a writer or writing amazing things. And it almost sounds like a lifetime story. So the movie theaters and Hollywood may not be far away from you, Gina. Don't toss that out quite yet.
Thank you.
Don't toss that out quite yet. And so would you consider this sci-fi, or what genre would you describe your book as kind of sitting in?
Definitely sci-fi. When I first started writing it, it was more like I was writing about myself and my own experience. And then one day it just morphed into a sci-fi book about women who have a substance in their body that allows them to kind of morph into animal-human hybrid type creatures. And this substance gives them special powers. And they have your generic superpowers, like they can kick ass and all that. But it's also like Arianna can actually, she can see people's past trauma, and she can kind of go into that experience and help them to empower themselves out of that trauma. So,
my goodness.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, we're going to go deeper in that. If you just tuned in, hey, you're checking out the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. We're hanging out here with Gina Gold, talking about her new book, Blue Ormus, Emergence. How can they pick up a copy while they're sitting here listening and chatting with us?
They can go to Amazon, and right now it is available on as an ebook. So if they go, you can download it. It says Amazon Kindle, but you don't even. I bought it. I accidentally bought it. I don't want you to think I bought my own book, but I actually was testing it to see if it worked, and then it would say, "Oh, you bought it." But I was trying to see if you needed a Kindle, and you don't, because I don't have one. So I just clicked, and I bought it right online.
All right, so there you have it. And so let's talk about the main character, Arianna. She's an 18-year-old African-American woman. Describe kind of her what's going on in her suburban life. Who are her friends? Let's kind of set the stage for Arianna.
Okay, so it's set in Queens, because that's where I grew up. It's set actually in Laurelton, Queens, and she has a regular life. She lives with her mother, who's a single mom. Her dad died from a car crash when she was a baby, and she has a sister. And her life is pretty normal. And so, but she's noticing that the things that were true for her before, like she's noticing that, like she, at one time she would look forward to. Also, it's set in 1978, at least the first part. The Emergence part. It's basically a 3-part book that's divided into, 3 sections. And this Emergence is the first part because she is emerging. So this first story is about how she's noticing that something is not right. Like she's feeling weird cramping in her back. She's feeling like she's seeing herself lift off of the ground. And then one day she looks at a Polaroid picture of herself, and once the picture is developed, she sees that there are wings in the photograph, that she has wings that she can't see. So she's emerging into someone else, and she's losing her taste for meat that she's always had. And she's noticing that when she doesn't eat it, it actually makes her abilities stronger. So that's what's happening in the first section of the book. And she's just kind of she's just learning what her abilities are.
Oh, I love this. And so there are definitely themes, throughout this, and that I'm sure you want the reader to walk away with. And what are some of the key themes you really want people to walk away with?
I think the idea that, as for myself, just as a young girl living in Queens that was feeling kind of disempowered, that but there's ways in that I really did have power, and I just didn't know it, and I didn't really know how to use it. And now as an adult, I do. So I would just people, especially young women, to realize that they do have power, they do have abilities, and that to not be afraid to use that they are not as powerless as they may think that they are, and to embrace that, or the differences that they may have, that they see about themselves, to go towards that rather than running away from it. I always ran away from my differences because I wanted to be like everybody else. And, and I wish that I had the power back then to just kind of stand in the truth of who I am. So that's, I think, what I would love for young women to get from that book.
Well said. Well said. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. That's a good note to end right there on a quick commercial break. And then, Gina, we're going to be back because we want to dive a little bit more. I want to hear about her sister and her mom, and just a little bit more about Arianna. So, listeners, don't you move. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back.
It's the Charvette Mitchell Radio Show. Charvette will be back after this.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Are you starting a new business, releasing a CD, writing a new book? Consider Mitchell Productions for your web design services. Visit www.mitchell-productions.com for portfolio samples, specials, and package prices. Remember, a website is not a luxury item. It's a necessity. Check out mitchell-productions.com or find them at facebook.com/Mitchell Productions.
She's here to motivate, excite, and influence you. She's Sharvette Mitchell. It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show with in-depth interviews from today's leading authors, gospel artists, stars that you want to know about. And now, Sharvette Mitchell.
All right, welcome back again. We're hanging out here in our author spotlight with Gina Gold. Pick up your copy of Blue Ormus. You can pick it up online. You can pick it up at Amazon. Just jump right over there. This segment and this show is brought to you by my upcoming workshop, Propel Your Live Streaming. Propel Your Live Streaming, and you can find out more at joinsharvette.com. Register and hang out with me April 16th so we can take your live stream to the next level. All right, I'm bringing Gina back up to the mic as we continue our discussion. And I love, Gina, I love the thought of us thinking about power that we already have. That there are things that are already inside of us, even in this experience, I know you're over in California. We're representing, we're holding down the United States today. You're in California. You're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. But even in the middle of this COVID-19, where people may feel powerless or power has been taken from them, is there anything you would say to encourage listeners, readers around just the power that's in them?
Yes, and in regard to the COVID-19, because I'm from Queens, I live in California, but Queens is getting hit really hard right now.
Yes,
so
yes.
My family, is in being hit with it. I lost my uncle last week to COVID, and
oh my goodness,
my father's brother. Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you, and now I have an immediate family member that has it. So Queens is a hot spot right now, and that it really got me down. But I was like, even with all of that going on, I'm still keeping my vibration high. I'm like, I could sink down, and let my vibration get really, really low and then consume me and not be able to do any work, not be able to function, not be able to handle, or I could just keep my vibration really, really high. Like that I do have power over. I can't control everything that's going on in my external, but I can certainly control my internal environment. So that's what I'm focusing on.
And I think that is such a great advice for us to look at and focus on the things that we can control and the power that is, within us. So much strength and love and prayers to your family, to you, and everybody in New York. I have clients in New York. I have family in New York, and definitely all across the United States. But we know that New York is, for whatever reason, is this hotspot area. So definitely thank you there. And so listeners, definitely support. Go pick up. If you're like, oh gosh, I feel like I want to do something to help, go buy Blue Ormus. Like go and buy it. And that's me talking. That's not Gina. She's just here because I know this was passion work for you, right? This was passion. What did it feel like after you wrote the last word and the editor had it? What did it feel like?
Oh my God, that was that was the best feeling, because every time I would write it and I'd finish it, and then I'd think I was done, and then I would have someone read it and they'd be like, "You're not done." It's like, oh no, I actually am done. Really, I'm done.
Right.
They're like, yeah, but you're not, and that would just be heartbreaking. Then I'd write the whole thing all over again, and then think, okay, finally, and then I'd go and they'd be like, well. So when I finally passed it to the editor and to people, and they were like, "Oh, it's done. This is it right here." I was like, "Oh,
thank you."
Oh. Yeah, that was the best feeling in the world. And then it was scary, because then it's like, once you stop writing, then I realized, like, oh, at least when I was writing it and it was in process and it was in my hands, I had control. But then once you're done, and then you let it go, you don't know how people will perceive it or what's going to happen, and then it feels out of control. And that was hard. So it was almost then became harder when I was done. I was like, oh, I can't really control the rest of this. I can only control making it the best book that I can make it. So that was a little hard. So
well,
in
kudos,
some ways,
it is out in the world.
Scarier.
Yes,
but it's out.
I am done.
It's
out in the world.
Hit submit. It's out there. So then now and then there's a big release because it's like, okay, it's out there. It's out of my control now. So I'm just going to sit back and let it unfold. And I know why I wrote it, and I know, what I want people to get from it, and I know the messages that I want people to receive. And so I'm just going to have faith in that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with this being a Black female superhero, is this, this is a little bit, there are a lot of superheroes, and there's Marvel, and there's, all of this out there. How many, in comparison, how many Black female superheroes are out there?
Not a lot. I think that, I've been watching the Black Lightning series because I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So I think that's Marvel, but they have, so Black Lightning's daughter are they're superheroes, and they have a lot of power in the show. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. But then I watched all 3 seasons and it was over, and I was like, okay, there's nothing to follow. I can't binge watch on any. Started getting desperate just watching anything that had a Black woman in it. Just for that affirmation. And, and I was noticing, I'm like, there's not a lot of Black women, or Asian women in TV shows at all, really. And I see more Black men. I mean, there should be more. But as far as women, not so much. And that really pisses me off. And there's not a diverse, and when there are Black women, there's not a diverse, range of color, shapes, and sizes. And I don't appreciate that at all, unless it's some sort of demeaning character. And I don't appreciate that. So I was like, we're not having that. I want to start a movement where putting women of color, Black women, on the map. Yes, we belong there. So, yes.
And I love your book cover. The book cover, she is beautiful and powerful. So you guys, you got to go just go look for the book cover. And I'll post the book cover on my Facebook. I know you guys are following me, facebook.com/Charvette. And if you're hanging out at charvette.com, we put a quick YouTube video that is there. I love just the visual that you've added with the video and the book cover of just this powerful, gorgeous Black female superhero.
Thank you. Isn't she gorgeous? I was so excited to find this woman, this model, and she just took over the character. As you can see in the videos, she really is Arianna. So I am thrilled, and I'm so glad I got to make the videos before we got quarantined.
Yes.
I wouldn't have been able to do it.
So check it. Now, are there more videos? I put one video. Are there more videos?
Yes, I think there are about 4 or 5 actually with her in it.
Okay. Yeah. Where can listeners go watch those?
They are on my Instagram page, which is, I think, Gold, GOLDELOX, Gold Elox.
All right, there you go. And where else can people connect with you? Website, any other places on social media?
Sure. I have a Facebook page that's also Gina. I think it's Gina Goldilocks, actually. Gina Gold and then ELOX. And then also the GinaGoldShow.com is my website. So you could always reach out to me on my website.
All right, there you have it. And so this is, like you said, a 3-part series. And so we've given a little bit of, you got the first Emergence out. So can you give us just a sneak peek? We don't want to give away the farm, but a sneak peek about what's in part 2 and part 3.
Well, I'll just say this because I don't want to give it away, but I will tell you that the things that I mentioned earlier about, the strip club and the lusty lady in San Francisco, that all comes into play in the next part of the series.
Okay, so listeners, Stay tuned. Keep it locked right there. And this is, even if you are not a person that reads sci-fi, now you might, there are people that are listening, well, I only read this or only this. To me, and from everything that I've read, like anyone could, you don't have to be a sci-fi buff for Blue Ormus. Would you agree?
Not at all, because I actually don't. Up until I did this, I wasn't reading sci-fi either. I was like, why am I writing sci-fi? I think it's really weird. It just kind of channeled. It just came out of me, and so. But you'll see that this book would resonate. Like people that read it were like, I identify with this character in my regular life. It's the way that it's written. You'll see that you don't have to be a sci-fi buff to appreciate the story at all.
All right, there you have it. And again, you can pick it up on Amazon, Blue Ormus. And so, Gina, my last question for you. The goal of my show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we want to know what continues to motivate you.
I am motivated by my daughter being, a woman of color, young. She's 14, and I want her to have positive images and be able to see herself reflected, when she looks out into the world. And also, I really want to just stick up for people who have been disenfranchised, marginalized, not seen, not heard, and that includes all living beings, including animals. So that's really what motivates me to keep going.
All right. Well, you are right on track with your mission, and I'm just excited that we had an opportunity to feature you here on the Sharvette Mitchell radio show, and we'll keep our eye out on Blue Ormus and all of the rest of the parts of the story that are going to unfold in front of our eyes. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You're just a delight, a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. All right, listeners, guess what? That's going to wrap up today's show. As always, we just love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to continue bringing you more outstanding, phenomenal guests. And until then, check out Sharvette.com. Peace and love.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m., interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.